Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar, Workplace Charging for Transportation Management Associations, or TMA, with Adam Power, Easy Ride, and EVNoire. Next slide, please. Here's our agenda for today's webinar, and just a little housekeeping, there is a Q&A box. Feel free to post your questions there at any time. Please include the presenter's name you would like your question directed to if it's for a specific individual. We'll share your questions with our presenters in a panel format at the end of the webinar. In this webinar, we'll learn from Adam Power on how TMAs can effectively support workplace charging development at workplaces. Easy Ride will share their experience with workplace charging, including successes and lessons learned. EVNoire will share information on two U.S. Department of Energy funded programs that provide free technical assistance and support for anyone looking to install electric vehicle or EV charging stations. Next slide, please. Now, first, just a bit of information about best workplaces for commuters. Best Workplaces for Commuters, or BWC, is the only program of its kind with national recognition for organizations that provide progressive transportation benefits to their commuters. BWC has specific member programs for employers, higher education institutions, and sites. 2024 was a record-breaking year for total members, indicating a growing movement. Commuters are asking for transportation benefits. Employers providing these benefits have a competitive edge to their peers when attracting and retaining talent. Workplaces are also playing a key role in supporting transportation demand management, or TDM, by encouraging their employees to take advantage of TDM options and by providing subsidized access to transit, carpool, and other TDM amenities. More information can be found at bestworkplaces.org. Next slide, please. Best Workplaces has also partnered with Forth to promote the eval program and to promote workplace commuting options while providing recognition. Forth's mission is to electrify transportation by bringing people together to create solutions that reduce pollution and barriers to access. We'll cover eval in more detail later in our program. Next slide, please. Now I'd love to introduce our panelists for today. Brendan C.C. Smith is a dynamic leader who is passionate about contemporary technology, electrification, and decarbonization. Brendan has worked with urban mobility, vehicle sharing, electric vehicle infrastructure, and autonomous vehicles for 8 years. He's been involved with large companies like General Motors and early-stage startups. Brendan is an advocate for equitable EV adoption, and through his work in education and decarbonization, Brendan strives to create a future. Kash has a wealth of experience and proven success in the EV and electric power industries. Kash holds a master's degree in business administration and a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and has dedicated his career to the modernization and decarbonization of our energy systems. His blend of technical expertise and business acumen positions him uniquely to navigate the complexities of the industry and drive meaningful change. Lisa Lee is the Director of Sustainability Programs at Easy Ride, one of New Jersey's 8 transportation management associations. She oversees the statewide EV Accelerator Program and the Bike and Pedestrian Safety Program in Bergen, Essex, Monmouth, Passaic, and Union counties. She connects and encourages stakeholders to use policy, environment, and system change to promote electric vehicles and workplace charging to reduce emissions, increase employee and public access to EV chargers, and protect New Jersey's natural environment. And next slide, please. At this point, I'd love to hand the floor over to Brendan Smith from EVNoire. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you very much, Michael. I wanted to say thank you for everybody for being here today. My name is Brandon Smith again, and I represent the company EVNoire. We're a full-service consultancy of diverse e-mobility professionals, including engineers, transportation management professionals, mobility researchers, data analysts, EV charging experts, and a variety of subject matter experts in the space. We're going to talk to you a little bit today about what workplace charging is, and a couple of programs that can help you to implement workplace charging at your workplace. So we define workplace charging as charging at a workplace, right? It's not overly complex. I don't have some super secret definition for you. It's charging at a workplace. So we're all familiar with charging at your home. We're all familiar with the Tesla superchargers and chargers at the grocery store in the wild. And kind of the third frontier here is workplace charging. So why is workplace charging important? If we can switch to the next slide, please. So workplace charging is important, one, because it helps to bridge that gap between people that don't necessarily have access to electric vehicle charging infrastructure at their home, maybe because they don't have the capital, the upfront capital to get that installed, maybe don't have access to the rebates and incentives that other people do, or maybe they don't have electric vehicle charging in a convenient location on their commuting route, or maybe they live at a multifamily dwelling. And if you're in this industry, you kind of all know the challenges of installing electric vehicle charging at multifamily dwellings. So workplace charging really helps to bridge that gap. Obviously, there's the lower fueling and maintenance costs with driving an electric vehicle compared to an ICE vehicle. There's range confidence for employees, alignment with sustainability goals. We all have our sustainability goals these days, and electric vehicle charging can really help that with your implementation in the transportation electrification. And also, you want to be a smart, community-driven leader, and your business wants to represent itself as such. Obviously, there's healthier air for the communities and the benefits for our children and grandchildren down the line, which I think most of us are at least familiar with at this point. And again, reducing barriers to EV ownership. If I'm an employee and I work and I don't have charging anywhere convenient for me, charging at work might be the thing that allows me to adopt an electric vehicle. We can switch to the next slide, please. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Charge at Work program. Next slide, please. So the Charge at Work program is a national DOE-funded program designed to bring electric vehicle charging to American workers by engaging workplaces, public officials, and community leaders to start implementing workplace charging programs. Together, we can support cleaner air and all of the objectives that we talked about before, as well as energy independence and responsible community stewardship. So the Charge at Work program, I like to kind of say that we are a concierge. We don't necessarily provide direct incentives. We are not going to be the ones giving you the money, but we will serve as a concierge to get you from zero to where you're actually implementing charging infrastructure. So whether you're a large multi-site corporation or you're a mom and pop shop with a parking lot and you want to install electric vehicle charging, we can help. The two aspects that are really important in this program are, one, we provide a free site assessment. So many utilities in your area, many utilities throughout the United States offer free site assessments. That's awesome. We love that. Some don't, or maybe they're not accessible to you or for whatever your business case is. So we provide a free site assessment to really give you that foundational understanding of where you are so you can understand the delta between where you want to be. We also offer a project builder tool. And in that project builder tool, it's a project management tool that allows you to understand the cost of charging, compare different types of chargers, understand if you're going to implement a specific project, what your CapEx cost is going to be, what your OpEx cost is going to be, what's the timeline, how do I decide between level 1, level 2, and level 3 charging. So this project builder will help you to really kind of have that understanding. And along with the site assessment, we can really help to move you from zero to actually getting chargers implemented in the ground. In addition to these two things that we offer technical assistance throughout this entire process, right? So a lot of what we do is education. I would say maybe 50% of what I talk about half the time, whether it be businesses, governments, organizations, or small companies, is education. We want to make sure that people have the right information, and we provide that through the Charge at Work program. In addition to that, we don't provide the incentives, but we do try to connect you with incentives, rebates, whatever it is, whether from the federal, state, or private level. It's an industry where these kind of things are changing almost on a weekly basis, and we try to stay abreast of those things so we can help our clients really know what they can do and to get from, again, zero to implementation. Next slide, please. So this is a little bit more about the project management tool. Again, we talked about your equipment, installation costs, incentives database that we offer you there, charger catalog, project planner, free site assessments, and we also try to connect you with implementation partners. So a lot of times through this work, we're connecting with people that offer full service turnkey solutions to get you to where you want to go. Maybe you want smart chargers, maybe you want unnetworked chargers. We try to get you to the right implementation partner for your situation. And many of those implementation partners offer services that can alleviate a lot of that upfront cost, which is quite often the barrier to entry for many organizations. Please to the next slide. So again, this is the Charge at Work program, and I want you to leave here with remembering that we are a concierge service. We provide a free site assessment. We also provide the project builder tool, and then we also offer technical assistance and connect you with incentives, rebates, and also implementation partners through the Charge at Work program. And you can find out more at chargeatwork.org. Before we have any questions about this program, we'll save all of that to the later part, but I want to talk to you again about our sister program for the Charge at Work program. So this is the Electric Vehicle Adoption Leadership Program. And if you think of the Charge at Work program as kind of the beginning or the starting stage or the first part of what we offer here, the eval program is that complementary, that second part. Once you've already implemented charging infrastructure, once you've already done things to focus on transportation electrification, we want to recognize you for it. I know that many people on this call are probably familiar with the Energy Star certification or the LEED certification for buildings. This is very similar to those certifications with a focus on transportation electrification. Next slide, please. So what is eval specifically? So again, eval is the Electric Vehicle Adoption Leadership Program. It's a certification program that provides technical assistance and recognition to organizations that support adoption of clean transportation. Eval certification indicates that there's an availability of clean transportation options and opportunities for staff, again, focus on workers or staff at a workplace. Next slide, please. See, the objectives of the eval program are to execute a nationwide workplace charging program consisting of education, outreach, and technical assistance activities that enable large-scale increase in workplace charging. So our goal over the next year is to recognize and certify 5,000 work sites. So not necessarily 5,000 companies, but 5,000 work sites. To give a quick example, if we're signing on like a university and they have multiple buildings that they want to certify for electrification, those all count as individual certifications. So our goal is to certify 5,000 work sites with the ultimate goal of catalyzing 20,000 port installations, or essentially 4 ports for each one of those 5,000 work sites. So it's a lofty goal, but definitely something that's needed. And I'm sure everybody out there that's either driven an EV or knows somebody that drives an EV, we know that increasing and building that charging infrastructure is a key component to EV adoption. Next slide, please. So eval eligibility, right? Like who can participate in this program? Again, the program focuses on workplace charging for workers or staff or employees, but pretty much it's open to all different types of organizations. So whether you're a business, a government, or a nonprofit organization, we want to help you out. Whether you're a large corporation like IKEA, or you're a mom and pop shop with a parking lot and you want to install 1 or 2 chargers, we want to recognize you for the efforts that you have put in towards transportation electrification. And it's not necessarily just chargers. So I'll talk to you about that in a little bit. The only kind of disqualifications for this program is if you're a home office building, or if you're a home office business, or if you're a business that is just trying to look for electrification for your fleets. So we have nothing against fleet electrification. We love to see that too. But this program is specifically for workplace charging, with the exception of mixed use. So we also do like to recognize organizations that use electric vehicle charging infrastructure for their employees and maybe for the public, or their employees and for their fleet at night. If you have a mixed use capacity, we also want to recognize you for that as well. Next slide, please. So this is the certification process. It's real simple, straightforward. It's not an overly complex thing. There's a 15 to 20-minute questionnaire. You create your account on the website, and then you fill out the questionnaire. From that questionnaire, you receive a certain level of points. Our team assesses that and then gives you a certification. Pretty straightforward. We also offer digital resources and other tools throughout this process, technical assistance. We also, like the Charge at Work program, you don't have to participate in that program to participate in this program. So we offer you that technical assistance, that knowledge and know-how, how to connect you to other resources as well through this program. Next slide, please. So once you fill out that certification, again, you are giving a point, and then you're giving a certification level based upon that. So you can achieve bronze, silver, gold, or platinum certification based upon your points. To give you kind of 2 examples, EVNoire, we are a fully remote company with no physical infrastructure. So we don't actually have charging installed, but because of our work in the transportation electrification industry, and even when we go out of town, we rent electric vehicles, we were recognized as bronze. On the other side of the spectrum, we actually just did an event with the Hotel Marcel in Connecticut. They are a fully zero emissions hotel. They have a fully electric fleet, 26 electric vehicle chargers, on site. They have no car or fossil fuels running this hotel. They were recognized as platinum. So for that organization, they have just immense things. And for these type of organizations, we do offer additional marketing and promotion, as well as case studies that we're starting to do to help really bolster and show that, hey, these are people that are focused on transportation electrification. This is how they've done it, and you can do it too. So again, you can receive one of these 4 levels of certification depending on your answers for the questionnaire. Next slide, please. So again, I'll give the example of like a university that has multiple sites. You might want to sit there and certify each one of those buildings and fill out the same information for each one of those buildings. So we do offer a bulk certification process just to expedite that in case you were wondering. Next slide, please. So here's the big question, right? How much does it cost? So you're not paying anything to me. Our organization is just about outreach, everything like that. And for the last year, this program has actually been free. We really wanted to attract early adopters. We really wanted to bolster this industry and show that there's demand for this. So we've been offering this program for free. On November 1st, the program will have a nominal fee. It's very small compared to like the LEED certifications and some of the other certifications that are out there, but there will be a small fee. So if you are interested, I implore you to connect with us and try to get certified before November 1st. This process is really quick. We can get you certified within a week. It's really not a long process. So if you are interested, you have about another month before that fee does kick in. And if you do certify for free, you are grandfathered in for the rest of the time. You don't have to recertify next year or the year after that. Your one-time lifetime certification qualifies. Same thing if you do apply after November 1st, that same fee that you have paid, that's your fee. Then you don't have to pay that again next year or the year after that. You now have your certification for that time. Now, let's say that you got a bronze certification and maybe later you want to come back and try to get a gold certification after you've implemented more charging infrastructure at your workplace. And then you are able to recertify. If you want to do it before November 1st, it's completely free. And if you do it after November 1st, it does cost a small fee. But again, this is a very small fee compared to a lot of other certifications, and the benefit of it is really great. One thing I will say about this certification that I think will show even more value is that a lot of organizations are starting to use this certification to bolster their qualifications for grant applications and RFP responses. It's just a little something extra to give you a leg up on the competition. And we know a lot of this money that's out there for these transportation electrification projects and other projects is in high demand. So this just gives you another leg up on the competition. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the organizations that have signed on. I mean, every day, we can pretty much update this slide every single day, but there are many organizations that are signing on. I'll give a shout out again to Harvard University because I thought it was really cool that they signed on for multiple organizations, but there are organizations, schools, businesses, governments, cities, nonprofit organizations signing on daily. Next slide, please. So again, this is the eval certification program. We talked earlier about Charge at Work. So you can find the Charge at Work program at chargeatwork.org. And you can also find the eval certification program at evalcertification.org. I'm going to leave our information at the end of this slide. We'll also leave the information in the chat as well as the emails that come afterwards. Please reach out to us. You can reach out to anybody on our team, also Fourth or Cal Start, to find out more about these programs. We'd love to speak with you, and we're happy to take any questions at the end. Thank you again for having me. And now I'm going to pass off to my next colleague, and thank you all for having us.
Thank you, Brandon. Can you guys hear me okay on the speaker panel? Give me a thumbs up. Awesome. I'm Kash. I'm from Atom Power. In my intro, mentioned I've been in the space for 7 or 8 years now. Prior to that, I spent 10 years in the electrical utility and broader energy space. So I grew up as an energy nerd. I'm still an energy nerd, and it's been an exciting time in the space to see so many EVs come to market. And exciting topic today, charging at the workplace. But first, Atom Power, we are a level 2 charge station manufacturer. When you see a charge station on the road today, you see a logo on it, it's probably not the manufacturer. Someone's white labeled it, the actual company operating and owning the stations and charging you to use them, their logo's on there. It's hard to know who the manufacturer is. So we are one of the manufacturers. We actually are making the equipment right here in the US. The picture on the left is our workplace charging program. These are 14 level 2 chargers that we've got at one of our locations, and our employees love using it, and it's certainly encouraged more employees to get EVs and bring their EVs to the workplace. Broadly speaking, we have anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 charge ports on the ground today, all over the US. A mix of workplace charging, company charging, customer destination charging, and a lot of fleet charging for large Fortune 100 companies as well. Our stations have delivered almost 2 GWh of energy and a really reliable technology, more than 99% uptime. We have some really cool technology behind our products, but that's not what the panel is about. Come to our website and you can learn more. Next slide, please. So workplace charging, right? One of the benefits, and Brandon touched on some of this already, but obviously it increases employee satisfaction and retention. More employees want to go EV for whatever reason, and you want to facilitate that. Lower cost for them, less range anxiety for them. Many employees are on the gray area. Should I buy an EV or should I not? And you'll be surprised by a very small cost incurred by employers can help make that employee that decision, or help that employee convince their spouse to make that decision together. It also gives equal access to people. Not everybody lives in a giant house with a garage where they can put a charge stations. People live in apartment buildings, condominiums, and they can't install. Even if they wanted to install a charge station, it's not possible for them to install one. But having a charger at work goes a long way in helping those people bring their EVs to work and drive them daily. And obviously, there's a lot of environmental benefits of EVs. You all are familiar with that. Next slide, please. Okay, so we've done a lot of charging products with a lot of different customer types. So let me just boil. Here is your buying cycle. You want to do a lot of assessment and planning up front. You don't want to jump off your ledge and build a parachute on the way down. You want to plan ahead. How many chargers do you need? How many people are going to charge? How fast do they need to charge? Where are they going to be? What is the available power today? There's a lot of analysis that you need to do on what kind of charging you need and what kind of power you have. Then you want to design, where are you going to put these chargers? What kind of chargers? Figure out the budget for the process. Get the budget approved, start the procurement process, pre-construction, construction, and then obviously maintenance. You don't want to just put a couple of plugs and forget about it. You want to make sure those plugs are working. The last thing you want is employees coming to work, plug it in the charger doesn't work, I can't get back to work now. So maintenance and ongoing support is also important. Next slide, please. And what we've seen is, it'll be easy for me to say everything is easy, but it's not. Usually there's roadblocks, and awareness is the first step in avoiding roadblocks or solving them. And some of the roadblocks we see is just a learning curve. How, in terms of what kind of charges are out there, what kind of speeds do I need? Can they share the power? Who gets a priority? There's a lot of learning to be happened, both from a commercial perspective and the technical perspective. Getting the buy-in from the company, longer lead times typically, because it's not just the charge station, it's the permitting behind it. It's any kind of additional electrical equipment would also add lead time. Want to make sure you are aware of that so you can build that into the plan. And if you don't have enough power at the facility and you have to go to your utility to increase the power, that can be a very complicated project. It can require a lot of paperwork and a lot of waiting time. Even though the act of installing a new transformer is relatively simple, you may be 3 months in the queue for the utility to do the same thing for other projects. Upfront costs are usually higher, so you need to make that business case that this is the right investment for the company. And then ongoing management is also important, and so is employee engagement, right? If a survey says 30 employees will get EVs, you make all this investment, you got the chargers, and now only half of them are showing up. That's also a problem. You don't want empty chargers sitting. So these are a lot of the roadblocks that come along the process. And the more research you do, the more educated you are, the more easily you will be able to either avoid or overcome these roadblocks. Next slide, please. So how do you get about doing this, right? First, you want to assess demand and feasibility. Survey the employees. How many of them have an EV today? How many of them are planning on buying an EV? And how many of them will buy an EV if they had workplace charging? Evaluate how much power you have available. Brandon mentioned they offer a free site evaluation. take them up on that, right? Figure out how much power you have available, how much space you have available, what's the low-hanging fruit here? How many chargers can you easily install without making this a complex long-term project? Then select the right charging infrastructure. Every piece of charging equipment is not the same. There's smart chargers, there's dumb chargers, there's network chargers. You want to learn about it and you want to pick the right partner. Don't just do it based on lead time and price. Really learn about the right technology for your use case. As most of you know, there's 3 levels of charging: level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 is really slow. Level 3 is fast. It's highway charging in the middle of your commute. Level 2 is kind of the sweet spot. It's 7 to 8 hours. It's overnight, during the day. For most workplace charging applications, level 2 is going to be the right charging speed, but it can vary case to case. And then obviously, although you realize this is an investment, there are a lot of incentives and money available from the governments. Brandon talked about some of them. There's more programs out there. Do your research, figure out which ones are applicable to you in your state, your county, your city. Create that support network to alleviate that pain of upfront investment. Next slide, please. And then partnerships, there's a lot of opportunity to collaborate with utilities. Utilities want this to happen. Every EV that is purchased is a future customer for the power grid, correct? So utilities are encouraged and incentivized to help this process. However, they are large bureaucratic organizations, and sometimes finding the right people at the utility is critical in making sure your project goes smoothly. So collaborating with utilities is important. Partner with local governments, city, council, state, and then also, in case you're leasing the facility, get with your landlord. They're going to have to sign off on any kind of major electrical work. Get them involved early in the process. There is a benefit to them as well as you. You're likely to stay longer if they allow you to get EV charging. And if you, as someone who's leasing the building, moves out, they will get a better, higher paying tenant next time if they have charging infrastructure already installed. So there's benefits to everybody. You want to engage a lot of these stakeholders. Next slide, please. So just talking about some of the trends in the EV charging place is intelligent energy management. See, 2-3 years ago, when people were like, let me just put a couple of chargers out there, you didn't need to think about smart charger or network chargers. Just put a couple of chargers out and we'll see what happens. But if you're putting 5, 10, 20 chargers on the same site, you want to get smarter about which charger takes precedent. Are they sharing the power? Are they doing that intelligently? There's a lot of cool software out there. There's some hardware that is inherently smarter than other hardware. You want to do your research to figure out what is the right solution for you. Energy management is going to become important for you, so you can charge more vehicles with less, and you can avoid peak load charges from your utility. Those are 2 main benefits to look into smart charging. Vehicle to grid is also going to become important one day. This just means that since you've got batteries in vehicles connected to the grid, if there's a power outage that the grid has, or if the grid is facing more demand than supply, utilities want the option to dip into your batteries, and they will pay good dollar for it. You may not want to do it right away, but this is an emerging technology. Over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we're going to see more V2G applications come to life. Next slide, please. Last but not least, TMAs, right? And we have Lisa that'll talk more about this, but I just want to touch about this a little bit more. You know, as you've picked up on it, there's a lot to learn technically, commercially about how to do this the right way, how to find the low-hanging fruit, how to make long-term projects successful. And I think TMAs are in the perfect spot to facilitate a lot of these partnerships, also to educate a lot of stakeholders on what it means to do this, and also helping in securing funding. Those 3 are really topics that TMAs can make a big impact. And How much can you make an impact will vary on what staff you have, what skill sets you have, how much time can you dedicate on it. But small or big, there's a lot of benefit you can bring to the table. And here's just some of our ideas. Next slide, please. That's all I got. Here's our contact information. Feel free to reach out to us if you want to learn about our technology, about charging in general, about the whole process. We have been doing this for a while, and we've learned a lot of tricks and tips along the way, and we're happy to share with you whether or not you pick our equipment. Thank you for your time. Lisa, the stage is yours.
Thanks so much, Kash. So good afternoon. Again, I'm Lisa Lee. I'm the Director of Sustainability at EasyRide. And I'm going to speak today about transportation management associations and how EasyRide is advancing our own workplace charging program and advocating for it in New Jersey. Next slide. So TMAs work with employers, local government, schools, community organizations, and the public to encourage alternatives to driving alone. Some of the key goals that TMAs may have are to reduce traffic congestion and to reduce air pollution in the communities, to promote electric vehicles, commuter van pools and carpools, the use of transit, walking and biking, all of these with the focus on reducing single occupancy vehicle use and auto emissions. A lot of us provide information on transit and local transportation services. We may be involved with promoting traffic safety. And overall, we have a goal to improve equitable access to mobility for older adults, low-income workers, people with disabilities, and underserved communities. Next slide. And you saw in that slide that there are 8 TMAs in New Jersey. We're one of them. So EasyRide, in the aftermath of the gas crisis, we were founded as the Meadowlands Transportation Brokerage Corporation in 1983 as a non-for-profit public-private partnership to improve access, reduce congestion, and promote economic growth by working with business and government agencies to address employee commuting challenges in New Jersey. Now doing business as EasyRide, we believe that a safer, greener, and more affordable transportation system is vital to maintaining our quality of life and promoting New Jersey's economic growth. The safety of pedestrians, cyclists, and other vulnerable people and transportation emissions and their adverse effects on people's health and the environment are a critical concern. For 40 years, we've partnered with businesses and governments to implement transportation programs and services like carpools, van pools, shuttles, biking and walking initiatives. All of these aimed at reducing congestion and mitigating air pollution. Today, in response to the growing concerns about pedestrian fatalities, roadway safety, and climate change, EasyRide is proactively rolling out new initiatives such as speed studies, demonstration projects, plans for fleet electrification, and the promotion of walking, biking, electric vehicles, and workplace charging to contribute to a sustainable future. Next slide. Our newest program is called the EV Accelerator Program, and we are actively focused on promoting the use of EVs, e-bikes, e-scooters as an emissions-free form of transportation for individuals and fleets. And we are also providing resources and encouragement to organizations to install workplace charging and EV chargers at residential multi-unit dwellings. We also offer assistance to organizations who want to transition their fleets and their property. Next slide. EasyRide is the first transportation management association that was started in New Jersey, and we are the only TMA that actually maintains a fleet of shuttles.
Looks like Lisa's internet dropped off. I'll give it a couple minutes for it to pop back on.
Hey, Michael, Stan just messaged, I think Lisa lost power in her office. Hopefully she'll dial back with her phone or something.
I see, roger that. I guess we'll give her a minute or two to, with that. That's unfortunate, I'm sorry. I see from Stan that she's coming up shortly from her desktop. Until then, I'm just curious that we do have a couple of questions for panelists that we can ask in the meantime. So until Lisa gets back, how can employers optimize their return on investing in workplace charging?
I think Kash, if you don't mind, I'll go first. I think you probably have even better information on this, but a couple of quick ways that you can kind of maximize your investment there is how we talked about earlier about mixed use of your infrastructure. So obviously there's other ways that you can kind of maximize how much you're spending, how much you're using, the efficiency of it, but also just having a mixed use capacity where you're opening up your chargers to the public. It really depends on, obviously if you are a business that's behind a physical gate or something like that, that might not be relevant for you. But if you have the ability to open up these charging stations to the public, you can really help offset that cost there. Also, like Kash was saying, just understanding and doing a survey of your employees to really understand your needs instead of just throwing up a bunch of chargers and not really understanding if they're going to be utilized or not. So just proper prior planning and also, potentially opening them up for a mixed use case.
Yeah, well said, right? I mean, if you don't have a fenced lot, then you can open up your chargers at night or the weekends where employees aren't using it, right? And get some money back for it. And the other piece is really smart charging. You don't need 10 chargers at full speed. Not every employee needs to fill their tank before they go home, right? They're just looking for enough boost that compensates their commute. That's what they're looking for.
Sorry, you guys.
And so that's easily done by looking at how much power you have available and spreading that power on more ports and lowering the charge per port, so that enough juice is going that employees can charge up and make back what they've spent on the commute, but without giving all the power to a smaller number of charge ports. You want to take the power you have without going to the utility, spread the wealth on more number of ports, and get in touch with us. We'll talk more for your specific situation how to make that happen.
Thank you both so much. Lisa, I heard you lost power. I'm so sorry, but the floor is all yours. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And I apologize. I've been running around doing meetings. I didn't realize my battery was so low. All right. Let's see. So I think I was at, we are the only TMA that maintains a fleet of shuttles to assist employees and businesses with first and last mile commute to work. Our fleet of 25 shuttles is in service 24/7. We start the day by shuttling people from several New Jersey apartment buildings to the local train station in Secaucus. We then pick up train commuters at the same station and drive them the last mile to their workplaces in New Jersey. We also have shuttles that pick up New Jersey residents along a route and get them to a stop where they can get to work. At the end of the workday, the shuttles do the reverse trips to help employees get home. And finally, we also have shuttle routes that pick up third overnight shifts and help them get to their jobs at Newark Airport when no other public transit operates. And that's called our night owl shuttle. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so we are currently in the process of transitioning our fleet to electric shuttles and preparing to install our level 2 EV chargers. The photo you see here is our property in Woodridge, New Jersey. The red marker that you see is on top of our building. And northeast of the building is our current fleet parking area where you can see all of the white roofed buses. Southwest of the building, and where here and maybe Christine can run her mouse over there, is where it says Quality Auto Body, is a property that we acquired in the past few years. The building is no longer there, and we are in the process of preparing the site for our electric vehicle supply equipment with level 2 chargers to be our new fleet parking area. Where you see the 2 little green arrows, there are 2 parking spaces with level 1 chargers that have been allocated for our staff in the time being to charge their personal EVs. Next slide. So here you can see one of our 2 level 1 chargers with my boss's EV plugged in. And 3 of our staff currently, including myself, we have electric vehicles. And our company workplace charging survey has indicated several others are hoping to purchase an electric vehicle in the future. Next slide. At EasyRide, we have many HR policies supporting clean and active transportation and workplace charging. So you can see some of those there that we educate our staff as well as the public about electric vehicles. Our policy encourages the use of electric vehicles for rentals, transportation, walking and biking, carpools, or remote work. And we also offer staff, like I have a fellow who works for me and rides an e-bike every day to work from Newark, 9 miles. We allow them to recharge their batteries in the office. We also provide monetary incentives for employees to use transit, whether that's bus, train, or ferry. We offer a monetary incentive for people to purchase an EV, e-scooter, e-bike, bike, or a car rack. And also people can register to use the local e-bike, e-scooter share, or car share if it's available in their property. And we also support not only our own staff, but also other companies throughout our region to start car and van pools. And we provide 3 free rides home if anything happens for the staff. We also encourage employers to expand staff access to other EV chargers nearby. Next slide. As the state implementation partner for eval in New Jersey, our team has been working very hard to promote the program and resources to help employers with electric vehicle supply equipment already to get certified and to ensure workplace charging access in areas where many people live in multi-unit dwellings and can't charge at home. Navigating a paradigm shift from ICE Vs, which internal combustion engine vehicles, to electric vehicles is a special challenge, but we're doing our best to make EV easy. And if the one thing that we try to encourage people is that if workplace charging is good for their customers, right, for businesses, it's also going to be good for their employees. And what's good for employees is going to be good for their business and leads to satisfaction of employees and retention. So how are we going to do this? So New Jersey is a home rule state. There's 564 individual municipalities. Every one of them is their own little kingdom. So we're targeting each of those municipalities. And we're looking at their green teams, those that have green teams. We're also looking at hospitals, pharma, biotech firms, transportation companies, universities, and real estate developers. Those who have the workplace charging, they are low-hanging fruit, and we can help to get them a silver, gold, or platinum certification. Those who don't have workplace charging, we're working to get them to pledge. We're working to get them to develop their HR policies, to develop their sustainability goals. And we're doing that kind of education and encouraging them to do it with their staff. Oh my gosh, can anything else go off? So how can we do that? How have we been successful? Well, we've hired a marketing firm to help us with our social media. They've created this character here. You see, this is Ezra with the big easy on his chest. And we're really using the relationships that we've already built in the past. And that has really been bearing fruit for us here in New Jersey to get the communities that we already work with on so many of these other projects to get certified. Next slide. So these are our eval certification statistics, our wins to date. We've had 25 employers who got certified, 45 work sites who've gotten eval certified, 44 have made pledges, and we're still working in this last month before the fee kicks in to meet our goals. Next. Okay, so case studies. So on this slide, I've got two different organizations we just worked with. Two of our other fellow TMAs, Avenues in Motion and Keep Middlesex Moving. Neither of them have EV chargers yet, but because they have really great sustainability goals and they have the HR policies that support, not a single occupancy vehicle commute. And because they have the incentives also to encourage their staff to bike, to walk, to use public transit, they were able to got bronze awards, similar to what Brandon mentioned about EVNoire. Washington Township and Bergen County, they also don't have any EV chargers yet, but they have an amazing active green team. They've already applied for their EV chargers and EV vehicle grants. They're just waiting. They've also identified the sites where they're planning to put in their EV SE, their EV supply equipment, and they are also negotiating with a strip mall in their town to install chargers on their property. So they were able to get a silver certification. Next slide. J&S Realty. This is a business that has started off, I think back in 1920s with dry cleaning, and they had a fleet of vehicles. Currently, they have real estate, electronics, and they lease cars. And in the 70s, the gas crisis came, and that developed their philosophy of transportation security. They didn't want to have their staff, they didn't want their fleet to be waiting in long lines for gasoline. So they installed on-site fuel tanks, diesel and gasoline for their own fleet, for their staff, and for visitors so that they wouldn't be at risk. And then through the years, they transitioned their fleet to hybrid. Now it's EVs, and they've installed EV chargers in both their garage and in their lot. So they got a gold award. City of Asbury Park, they have amazing sustainability goals in their master plan. They have employee incentives for transit, and they also have e-micromobility charging and parking. They have e-scooter share in their community that they encourage use of by their staff, by residents, and by the many visitors who like to come and visit the beautiful Jersey Shore. And so with their 8 dual port level 2 chargers at 3 different sites in 1 square mile, it's a nice tiny little community by the shore, they got a platinum award. Next slide. So thank you very much. Easy Ride is on the road to a cleaner, greener future. Please join us in the EV revolution, and we'll help to show you the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you to Brandon, Kash, Lisa for those amazing presentations. At this point, we'll move on to questions. I see already a good number of questions posted in the chat, but at this point, if there are any lingering questions, please put those in the Q&A box. We'll direct them to the panelists for discussions. And again, if your question pertains to a specific presenter, be sure to include that presenter's name. The first one is for either Kash or Brandon. Great info about the planning process. When do you suggest getting in touch with Charge at Work resources?
I would say get in touch with Charge at Work resources today. I'm going to leave my email for you all. You guys want to shoot me an email, I'd love to talk to you. Like Kash was saying, there's so many different unique use cases. This presentation, I think, is a good overview, but we've dealt with a lot of different things. So whatever challenge that you're personally facing, we've probably seen it, and we'd love to talk to you about it today. Use us as that starting point, especially if you don't know where you're starting. Use us as that starting point, and we can put you in contact with the right resources, or we can help you ourselves and just get you through that process. So I would say we are kind of a first stop for you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And then Kash, you mentioned roadblocks. So what are typical roadblocks that workplaces should watch out for?
Yeah, so I mean, I had one of my slides actually showing 6 or 7 of the common roadblocks, but I'll say the two biggest ones. The first big one is upfront investment, right? I mean, if you're in a company who's cash rich, you're doing really well, and you really want to attract and retain your top employees, not something you just say, but you really mean it, it's going to be an easier discussion or decision for you to invest in charging to keep employees happy. But if you're watching out for your spend, if it's not a great financial year, it's going to be hard for you to justify spending any amount of money for an optional, nice to have kind of situation. That's a roadblock, right? So, and in that case, what I would say is go for the low hanging fruit. Figure out how much power you have available on your site without doing an upgrade, without going to the utility, without buying a new transformer. How much power do I have right now? That is your low hanging fruit. Now, that power could mean 3 chargers, it could be 30, it could be 1. Whatever the amount is in your situation, that's the low hanging fruit because it's easier, it's going to be quicker, and it's going to take the least amount of investment. The second big roadblock is, let's say you've done the first phase, it's very in demand, people are lining up for those 3 chargers, employees are fighting, move your car, and you're convinced that you have to take that next step. Then the roadblock is usually the lead time from the utility. Utilities are busy, they're managing all kinds of new power lines for new real estate developments, factory upgrades, and you're just one more upgrade request. So get in early, get to know the EV implementation team at the utility, work closely with them to track your project. But that's what I would say is upfront investment and utilities are the biggest roadblocks.
Thanks so much for that answer, Kash. And then Lisa, this next question is bouncing off of the case studies that you included in your presentation earlier. You said you advocate for EV-friendly policies. Can you go into detail on any success stories or suggestions for how transportation organizations can advocate in the communities that they serve?
I'm not telling you to shut up. Hi, everyone.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Like everybody else.
Sorry about that, everyone. So what I encourage you to do is create a template. So we did this to help some of the communities that got certified, but the same thing for EV-friendly HR policies. Create a template. Don't make it a PDF. Allow them to customize it and share that with the communities.
Thank you so much. And I think we have time for one more question. So this is directed just to all panelists. What is the biggest challenge you've encountered with promoting EVs, and what changes people's and leaders' minds?
So for us, it's education. A lot of people, there's just a lot of disinformation out there. There's a lot of stuff in the news, whether it be EVs freezing all the time, whether it be a misunderstanding of range anxiety or the sourcing issues. So a lot of times it's just about education and experience. So a lot of things that EVNoire does is about it's about exposing communities, businesses, organizations to electric vehicles, to electric vehicle infrastructures, allow them to see that it's not a boogeyman, that it's not this big scary thing. And once people can actually see the path to electrification, it's a lot easier to kind of get them along that path rather than just having them walk in the dark for something that they might know that benefits them, but they don't really understand how or how to make it a realistic thing for them. So I think education and experience have helped us to kind of alleviate some of those concerns.
Yeah, well said, Brandon. Education goes a long way. A lot of misinformation out there. Unfortunately, this is a topic that gets politicized very easily, and it's best to not get into that dynamic. Just say, look, employees have EVs. More of them are getting EVs. We're likely to make them happier. We're likely to take the charging thing out of their head so they can focus at work and deliver stronger returns for the company. And we're more likely to attract better talent as we scale. Just focus on that. And that's why we got to do this. And there's still going to be the barrier of the investment, and hence low-hanging fruit, go do the phase 1, show how it's successful, that'll make it easier to justify the slightly more expensive phase 2.
Thank you all so much. And with that, let's go on to our next slide, please. So this concludes our workplace charging webinar series. Each of our 5 EV sessions has been tailored to a specific audience. So please check out our recorded sessions for insights into workplace charging for clean cities, nonprofits, remote employers, small businesses, and governments. And go ahead, feel free to scan the QR code on your screen or visit bestworkplaces.org/events. And once you do that, just scroll down to past events so you can access the recordings of previous sessions that feature other great presenters who are experts in their own sectors. Also, if you want to hear more from our co-host and partner, Best Workplaces for Commuters, be sure to check out this upcoming webinar on October 17th, also available on the BWC events page. The webinar will feature sustainability efforts in Fairfax County, Virginia, and dovetails with our EV series. Be sure to check back regularly as BWC hosts webinars on different topics throughout the year to help employers, colleges, universities, and sites support their commuters. And with that, the email addresses for today's presenters are on the current slide. I'm Michael Ryer, your moderator and host for today's session, and I've also included the contact info for Julie Bond with Best Workplaces for Commuters, our partner who helped host this series. Please keep in touch and let us know how we can assist you with your EV journey and other sustainability commuting needs. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, I believe there's been a link posted to complete a short evaluation about the webinar. So thank you all so much for attending. This was phenomenal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.